Shalom, family.
Shalom, welcome back to the channel.
Yes, welcome, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It's not going to be a long live. We just got some breaking news. Hopefully, you guys heard about it. Maybe you didn't, because recently the news that we was looking at, what Donald Trump, the U.S. president, he was like, "Yeah, we just told our the people here, and we heard this like
10 hours
10 hours, 12 hours ago." And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Wow, that's different."
they're a
So
little bit late.
yeah,
America's late. I mean, I feel like a lot of times they're late, but you don't necessarily know that because they'll tell you that they're on top of it. They know everything that's happening. But if you didn't know, breaking news, India has fired back. India has fired back at Pakistan. And I say fired back because what happened was this massacre happened a few days ago. Now they say Pakistan went ahead and did some terrorism type of stuff over. Actually, oh my gosh, do you see this caption? We got to fix this caption. India strikes Pakistan, not Iran. I have to fix that caption. But yes, or that title. But India strikes Pakistan, okay? Why? Because there was some type of terrorist massacre type thing going on where they said Pakistan actually killed 25 Indian people, okay? And they, I don't know what happened in the massacre, but they're saying that's what went on. And India was like, we're not going to deal with this. They were like, we're going to send these missiles today, and that is what they did. And it's not just one. Mind you, understand India and Pakistan both hold huge nuclear power. These are nuclear powers that are right next to each other. Pakistan, India. Okay. And so they're like going at it. Think about Israel and Gaza right there next to each other, going at it. I just feel like the fire would be so intense when it's your next door neighbor.
yeah, and that's literally what's happening. Uh, Rumors of war and war. War is happening all over the place. To be honest, it's crazy that this is not the only thing that's happening. You get what I'm saying? So the bigger picture, like I always say, the bigger picture is the word of the Most High. The prophecies is coming true, and you gotta step back and see what's really going on, because it's not just India and Pakistan, it's also China going on Taiwan. So it's like, man, like, and this is just all like in the last 48 hours.
Right. This is all in the last 48 hours, y'all. We're in the fifth month of the year. Okay. And they are just going at it. They're like really going at it. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to tell you the news. We're here to tell you what exactly is happening. So India again strikes Pakistan. If anyone doesn't know, Pakistan is right next to India. These are superpowers. These are world superpowers, okay? India is a part of BRICS. Brazil, India, sorry, golly, BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, okay? Now,
And you got to think of the allies too of these countries.
yeah, that's what we're going to get into because we need to start looking at, okay, who's allied to who is going to jump in and help who. And you were saying when we came across this news, you're like, I wouldn't be surprised if China also tried to overtake Taiwan at this time. And y'all, guess what? Breaking news. The US, they have their intelligence systems. The US is now saying that China is also looking at honing in on Taiwan as well as we speak. So things are beyond heating up. And it's getting a little crazy, but remember, BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Russia said that they were going to support India, okay? They said that they were going to bring them arms and ammunition.
And I think it's an article out there that said they already have. So that
Yes, they
that
have.
might have been Russian weapons
That were
India,
used.
that was used. So
The BRICS are activated.
yeah,
The BRICS are bricking.
yeah,
The BRICS are swinging hard. And remember, South Africa is the S on BRICS. Okay. At the end of the day, BRICS being this new conglomerate, and it's not even that new, it's actually been around for decades quietly. But BRICS being the conglomerate that it is, when this geopolitical tension heats up, guess what they're going to do? They're showing that they're going to have each other's backs just within days. I mean, to me, that's like breaking. That's like, it just happened. Like y'all didn't even give it a week. Y'all barely gave it a week before And a lot of these people in some of these parts of the world, a lot of these people are hot headed.
Mm.
Some of these, they got whatever tensions they had from the Cold War, from what was happening way back when. And it's just like, it's the perfect mix of ingredients right now for everything to be off the chains. Okay.
Yeah,
But y'all, let's go ahead and look at this. Let's pull up some of our sources. We have some excellent sources here to get to.
yeah. Let's do that. But yeah, you got to think of who are these people in the Bible? Like, what's because the Bible? If you believe in the Bible and you know it's real, you got to think like, why are these people fighting each other? Who are these people that's fighting each other? Just keep that in mind.
It's crazy, guys. Yeah, Russia, they went ahead and they did send their missiles just 3 days ago. They sent missiles because of the massacre. So that is news that is from India Today.in. You can look that up for yourself. But let's go ahead and see CNN here.
Level of response. Again, this speaks to the potential for escalation. How does India respond to this? One of those strikes in Murad K inside Pakistan proper was literally just about 20 miles from the border with India. So for their fighter jets, if that's what it was, to come over and strike, that was a relatively easy operation. However, these strikes have been on the audible, if you will, outskirts of Islamabad. Our cameraman here with me, Javid, his house is about an hour from where we are in the center of Islamabad. His house shook. There were 2 loud explosions, he said, and his house shook from those explosions. So that gives you an idea how close some of the strikes have been to Islamabad, perhaps about 50, 60, 70 kilometers away. The other explosions I was describing that have happened elsewhere in Pakistan have also been near the major city of Lahore, the sort of very outer reaches of that. So again, these are very strong signals, if you will, that the Indian military is sending to the Pakistani government. Again, it speaks to the potential for escalation. We have to wait and see what Pakistan's response is, what it's been. They describe it as crushing. We don't have details yet, and therefore what India may do after that. Jim?
Nick, I wonder, given that India's strike.
Yeah, you got to look. You got to think of the time zones too. Like it's nighttime here where we are, or it's evening time. It's 6:30, 6:25. But you got to think of that too. This happened in the morning time, or I want to say uh, late night. So probably around this time yesterday.
Yeah, and it's heightened too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still news coming in that they are continuing to escalate, and Pakistan has vowed retaliation, okay? And again, you want to look at your maps here, you want to look at the geography of what's going on and where these places are so you can understand what's happening. As you can see on the map, you have Pakistan, you have India, then you have like this Pakistan administered area, India administered area, China administered area. As we know, tensions in this area, as well as the Middle East, are increasing with time. And by the way, everybody's favorite president on earth right now, President Donald Trump, said, he was like, within me getting in office, all of these tensions with Russia and Ukraine, the Middle East, it's all going to be over. Well, guess what? Not only are those 2 tensions not over, they're escalated with the Houthi rebels. And on top of that, we now have another world war escalation happening with Pakistan and India. So I don't know what our president, Mr. Trump, thinks, and what his thought. The American people.
Oh, you said
red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. What he thinks of this, but you know what? We do know what he thinks of this because we were watching his White House address. Actually, he said, and we're going to show you some of the footage as well. He was saying, well, he started out the speech at first. He was like, I don't know what's going on over there. That's how he started the speech. And he was kind of laughing it off. And then he went into, okay, well, we just got news that it's happening. Like you were saying, we just alerted everyone just an hour ago on what's going on. And it's kind of like you have all of these intelligence agencies and y'all don't know what's going on. Y'all, I mean, we had heard about this 10 hours ago, 12 hours ago. And he's like, well, now we see what's going on. And I think with President Donald Trump, what he's been saying is like they're going to stay out of wars. And typically at any other time, like especially if you were dealing with Africa, it would be a great time to stay out of wars and things like that. But when you have Pakistan and India, these people are very close together, and they seem to be both very hot-headed and very much willing to escalate this very quickly. Now, I think this would be one of those times where it's like, well, maybe somebody should play Switzerland here so that the world doesn't get nuked. Okay? Because I mean, these countries, they're very close together, and they're tit for tat right now. They're like, but I do think as people that, in the global south have been colonized, I think everybody also similar to how Africans kind of go at each other like this, like sit back and see, okay, who typically funds terrorist organizations? That should be the real question. But, divide and conquer works every time. If there's something that certain European type nations want, all they gotta do is send somebody in that kind of looks like the other people, do some type of terrorist thing, and then boom.
Yeah, I definitely say you just gotta step back and see the bigger picture. See that, or you gotta know that the Most High is in control, right? So that's what I mean by step back and see, like everything that's happening right now, it has to happen. I feel like as Africa unites, as each country in Africa unites, all these other nations that's pretty close to each other, that's been in business together and trading together and stuff, and just right next door, really, they're gonna have some problems like this. So you just really got to sit back and watch and see what's about to happen, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. It's not just going to be no year by year. No, everything's happening. Everything's speeding up super fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and the tensions are just off the chain. But we also wanted to go to the South China news. Y'all know we like to look at news from a complete geopolitical, all across the world foundation so that we can understand what's actually happening. You should have multiple sources. And so here we're looking at the South China news, okay? Kashmir tensions. India strikes at Pakistan as Islamabad vows retaliation. Again, the perspective here, think BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China. China's probably going to take the side of India, okay? At least 26 people killed in Operation Sindoor as the U.S. urged New Delhi is in India, and Islamabad, which is in Pakistan, to avoid escalation. The U.S., basically President Donald Trump and the folks said, look, both of y'all need to calm down. But obviously with India putting out those missiles that killed 26 people, by the way, Russia supplied those missiles about 3 days ago. Remember, BRICS, I keep saying this. What keeps coming up when I'm reading this, when we're talking about this, is BRICS. BRICS is showing that if you touch one of their countries, they're going to tag team you. Mm-hmm. I think when we also look at this from that context, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for BRICS to come out and basically be like, look, just so everybody knows, I think that's also why India is very harsh with this, to show, hey, just so everybody knows, Western, Middle East, doesn't matter who you are, just so everybody is on the same page. BRICS is going to have each other's back, okay? They are going to tag team whoever it is, because it's an escalation that happened pretty quickly, and Russia supplied those weapons like boom. They were like, we're on it. We're not dealing with that terrorism. And you can't fault them at the same time because, India, from their perspective, if you empathize with them, a terrorist organization from Pakistan comes in. They don't know who this is funded by. It could be somebody in Europe, or it could be, whoever in the West that could have funded this potentially, just off the back of what we know that European nations and America has been known to do in the past. So India's like, we don't have time to play games. They want to nip it right in the bud. I totally empathize and understand that. But nonetheless, the escalations are just like, it's just really wild. So New Delhi, which is in India, briefed U.S. President Donald Trump's top national security and foreign policy advisor within hours of firing missiles into Pakistani territory on Wednesday, today, as tensions between the nuclear-armed neighbors escalated, and Islamabad, again in Pakistan, warned that there was a response that was already underway. Shortly after the strikes, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval spoke with the U.S. National Security Advisor and Secretary of State Marco Rubio and briefed him on the actions taken. The Indian Embassy in Washington said in a statement to provide further details. Now, the U.S. is telling them, look, both of y'all need to sit down. Y'all need to chill out. We can't afford this. But it's, look, there's a lot going on. What do y'all think? It's kind of like some different things that are happening, some different things that are going on.
I think it's just supposed to be chaos, right? Like when you think of the word like chaos, like how is chaos? But like the whole world is supposed to be in chaos. That's what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then, as if that wasn't enough, there's also breaking news. We're going to come back to the India-Pakistan topic, but let's also talk about another topic, y'all. Y'all ready for North Korea? We're going to give y'all a minute. Somebody, let us know. North Korea, what y'all think North Korea is up to right now? And y'all know how much America loves North Korea. I'm going to give y'all a minute. What y'all think? What y'all think North Korea is up to? Because we got the details, and it's interesting, and it's not hitting Western media. So I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna find it on Western media. We found it in African media. Okay, so we are going to. And by the way, none of them. So by the way, this is coming from Africa.world. Okay. The source is from Namibia news stations, from Africa.world. Listen, okay? North Korea has officially formed an education partnership with Namibia. Pause. Let's rewind this back, y'all. I don't know if y'all been following African events, but Namibia has a new president. Shout out to Namibia. That's their first woman president. Namibia, which actually a few months ago said they're no longer going to be visa-free for U.S. citizens. They have their new president. Their new president supports Captain Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, okay? So this is the context with Namibia. Namibia has just decided to sign this pact with not South Korea, not China, North Korea on education, okay? So they're like, look, we love the way that y'all did education in North Korea. We like that you're protected from the West. We like that you're somewhat radical and anti-colonialism. Let's work together and rework this, because guess who Namibia was colonized by? Somebody drop it in the chat. Who was Namibia colonized by? Because this is looking like they're trying to reverse all of the colonial footprints. They're trying to be like, look, it's time's up on this Western oppression. It's time's up on this colonialism. They're like, we got to go on somewhere. Yes, Jewel Niles, Germany. Namibia was colonized by Germany. So they're like, yeah, we know y'all came out here. Y'all got the little German shops out there and all that stuff you got going on. But look, we're going to invite North Korea in. And, we don't learn this in school in America. In America, or at least when I went to school, I went to school in a very rich, wealthy Jewish community, and we learned about Europe. I didn't learn much about Africa relations. I didn't learn about Asia at all. Like, you would think Asia wasn't even a thing. I didn't learn nothing about Asia, but we would learn about Scandinavia, Ireland, Spain, Greece, all the folks, right? But nobody knew that North Korea, and obviously being raised in America, they tell you North Korea is the worst thing to happen in the world ever before. It's the absolute worst thing, North Korea and Russia, right? But we did some digging. We found some research in North Korea and Africa, Southern Africa, to be more specific, Namibia. They have been in relationship for a very long time. In fact, North Korea helped in the fight for independence. And by the way, when we used to live in Tonga, Tanzania, there was a library out there. And in the library, you have like these certain artifacts and these pictures of when Koreans have relationships with Tanzania. And so the Koreas, both North and South, fighting for independence for the Southern Africa area, the SADC region, this is not anything new. It's just new to Americans because Americans are very much sheltered and fed a Western propaganda mechanism.
Just take a step back. take a step back and realize what's happening.
Yeah, I'm thinking President Donald Trump and the folks, they're not going to be too happy about that one. Y'all know how they feel about North Korea. You mentioned North Korea's name there. Ooh, child, they ready to fight.
Yeah, and you gotta just
That,
think.
ooh.
You gotta think. Who is in alliance with North Korea? You get what I'm saying? It's Russia. Who's in alliance with Russia? It's China, Iran. So it's kind of like a big divide that's happening right now, where countries has to make a choice. Um, that's what I see. That's what I see in a bigger picture. When I step back and just look, I'm like, hold on, what? Wait, Russia said they about to help Burkina Faso. Oh, China's with Russia. Oh, Iran's with Russia. Oh, India's with Russia. So that means that all these people are starting to be connected in a way to take down the old and end with the new. But at the end of the day, you got to know the Most High is involved always. His hand is on everything. So the end game is here in Africa. Don't get that twisted. But everything that's happening right now is for a reason. But when it comes down to it, the dragon's gonna come after the children.
Yes, and by the way, look, if y'all are new here, welcome. Shalom. Hello there. A recent video on our channel that you produced, we were also talking about how Botswana has come out. You may want to go to the channel, journey with us, like, comment, share, subscribe to this video. But another recent video, this is why we're saying what's also happening in Southern Africa. Botswana has come out and said in the public, they're not afraid of America, they're not afraid of Europe. We support Captain Ibrahim Traore. They said, the president specifically said he is proud of him. He's a young man that's doing great for his country. He said when he implements a policy, it's done in 2 days. He says, as the president of Botswana, he tries to implement a policy. It's done in a matter of weeks. It takes a long time to go through whatever systems they have set up in Botswana. So Botswana was basically saying, like, we're willing to learn from Captain Ibrahim Traore. And I think that's so beautiful because obviously these two presidents are willing to unify, willing to promote Pan-Africanism, and willing to just have this loving spirit amongst brethren. When all of these things are happening in the world, the best thing that Africa can do, especially Southern Africa, which is one of the most stable and peaceful regions in Africa, if not the most stable, peaceful region in Africa, is that they need to come together and they need to work together with the West side, okay? With the East side, work together and say, okay, let's keep our ties strong because this next phase of the world looks mighty crazy.
And really,
in the end times.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Africa is united slowly when all this chaos is happening outside of Africa, countries just doing whatever in chaos, right? So confused. And then they're going to look up like, whoa, when did Africa unite? And then they're going to be like, nah, we can't have this. We can't have this.
Too late. They don't have a choice. Africa is going to it. It's already done. It's prophecy. But I'm so glad that you said that, Jewel Niles, because we also have up here Isaiah 49, okay? And it was so interesting doing this Bible study because we were looking at everything that's happening, and we do need to read this, Isaiah 49, because it's just so timely, okay? It's so timely. So let's read this together, y'all, so that we can see what's actually happening from a prophetic biblical standpoint. Isaiah 49, listen, O isles, unto me. Hearken, you people from afar. Yahuwah has called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother. He has made mention of my name. He has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand, he has hid me. He made me a polished shaft, and his quiver has he hid me. And he said to me, you are my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. Then I said, I've labored in vain. I've spent my strength for naught. And in vain, yet surely my judgment is with Yah, and my work with my Elohim. And now says Yah that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yah, and my Elohim shall be my strength. And he said, is it a light thing that you should be my servant, to raise the tribes of Jacob, to restore the preserved of Yasharel? I will give you for a light to the Gentiles, that you be my salvation to the ends of the earth. This is what Yah says, the Redeemer of Yasharel and his Holy One to whom man despises. Ooh, just pause. When we look at the despised and oppressed of the earth, that's clearly African nations, to whom the nations abhor, to a servant of rulers. Oh, gosh. Where did they pick the slaves from? Servants of rulers. Kings shall see you rise, princes also shall worship, because Yah is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose thee. Thus says Yah, in an acceptable time have I heard you, in a day of salvation I have helped you, and I will preserve you, and give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages, that you may say to the prisoners, go forth, and to them that are in darkness, show yourselves, that you shall feed in the ways, and their pastures shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger or thirst. Neither shall the heat or sun smite them. For he that has mercy on them shall lead them. Even by springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all mountains a way, and my highways be exalted. Behold, y'all listen to this. These shall come from afar. These from the north, from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. So we're going to stop right there. You can read the rest of the chapter for yourself. These from the land of Sinim. Now, if you study this out in the Hebrew, you are going to learn that some translations believe that this is China, but it can also be North Korea. Now, weren't we just talking about North Korea and Namibia working together and uncovering the fact that really they've been working together for African independence for a long time? Because what Americans don't understand, again, take off your white American hat, be black, white, whoever you are, take off the white supremacy hat and empathize with African nations and Asian nations that have both been colonized. Asia's a continent, Africa's a continent, but both continents have been colonized. And so they had to work together to fight off their oppressors. They had to work together to have any type of independence. They had to unify with each other. That's why Korea was willing to send troops into Namibia. That's why they were willing to do education reforms into Namibia and Tanzania. South Korea was in Tanzania to help with the independence. And so it's like you have to really think and just humble yourself for a minute and say, let me just empathize with other people who aren't my people for a minute and just understand what's going on. Because prophecy is going to happen whether you understand it or not. So it's better just to get on the right side and understand it. And yes, it's going to be, difficult to understand. Yes, it's going to be like, oh, America was on the wrong side of all this. It wasn't just Black Americans that were oppressed. That wasn't just it.
Yeah, every nation on this earth is going to be used by the Most High, but you just got to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. You gotta look, you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to understand people. You have to understand humanity. You have to understand colonialism and see, okay, do I want to be on the side of colonialists or do I want to be on the side of the oppressed of the earth? Because guess what? Yah says he's going to come back for the oppressed of the earth. If you think for 1 second he's coming back to expand colonialism, you may be delusional. The Most High is never going to come back and expand colonialism. He's just not going to do that. It's just not realistic. So instead, the only reality that you have to see here is that Isaiah 49 is talking about what's happening right now. Sinim, look it up. Look it up. Because India is striking Pakistan. Israel has its tensions with Gaza and the Houthi rebels and Iran. China. Oh, we didn't even get there yet. Oh, let's go to the live about that.
Which one?
Because China just said, and the U.S. is live about it right now, that China may actually, so the U.S. commander received word that China may attack Taiwan at any moment. All while this is happening. It's like prophecies are springing up all over the place. We have like all the prophecies all at once. Particularly in Revelations, the 6th vial is what you want to look at. Because these times, they're different. Just leave it up. You don't got to do the audio.
Just look it up.
Mhm. As you guys can see, live China-Taiwan war. China plans to take over Taiwan. U.S. commander has a shocking revelation. Okay. So there's a lot going on. You can see. And this is why it's so important not to do like the whole, oh, it's all fear mongering. Everything's fine. I mean, clearly everything's not fine. On top of the fact that they are also alerting US citizens and saying just within the next few weeks, within 5 to 7 weeks, there's going to be no more products on the shelves. And so it's like, at some point you have to wake up. At some point you have to say, okay, let me just put on my shield, my breastplate of righteousness, my helmet of salvation, and be strong for this battle. Because if you don't see what's coming down the pipeline, it's going to smack you in the face. And it's not comfortable to be smacked in the face when we have these tensions that are happening. And see, war, people love war because it makes the elites richer, but it causes supply chain disruptions on top of the fact that there were already supply chain disruptions because of the trade war. Mm-hmm. And so China, they're like, Trump just yesterday, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? He said 100% tariffs on Hollywood. He said, none of y'all about to come in here and have any of these Chinese and Indian movies and these African movies. Y'all can get those off of Netflix. Netflix stock dumped the past few days due to that because they have a lot of international movies. Trump says it's going to be 100% tariffs for that.
It's so much going on. When you really like break down each level and stuff, it's just too much. That's why I say you got to think simple. You got to step back and think of the bigger picture. All this stuff is happening for a reason. Judgment is here on this earth. Nations is being judged. People are being judged. So you gotta choose the right side. It's simple. It's simple. Just really seek the Most High. Really seek His promise, His word, because it's coming true, right on this earth. It's been here, because it's happening.
Yeah, and start looking at world geography as well, because this post, again, back to the Namibia and North Korea thing, Africa.world. Again, you're not going to find this on Western news stations. Go to a Namibian news station, okay? This is why a lot of the stuff that you find on this channel has to be found directly from the local news station, okay? Africa.world says North Korea may benefit by expanding its diplomatic presence and soft influence in Southern Africa, while Namibia can gain support in infrastructure, education, cultural exchange, where North Korea had previously assisted. However, Namibia will need to balance their partnership carefully due to international sanctions on North Korea. This is why this is breaking news, because listen, we found out, we were doing some research, that during the Cold War, again, North Korea had strong ties because this was also the time of independence. But around the year 2001, y'all know what happened in 2001, they put international sanctions on North Korea. And so a lot of African countries cut ties with North Korea, not because they wanted to, not because they didn't like North Korea, not because they didn't have a cordial, great relationship where both parties were mutually benefiting, but because certain IMF, International Monetary Fund banks, certain people behind the scenes of Western economy said, you know what, we have sanctions on North Korea and we don't want you to talk to them or else you're going to be in trouble. Pause like that. That leaves you speechless. That's crazy to think about. But this is the stuff they don't teach in school.
Yeah.
They ain't going to tell you this.
I should just tell you, just got to do your own research. Like, especially like stepping outside of America, you start to realize, like, dang, they really lied to us. They really got our
they
heads
got us
messed
bad.
up. Like, for real. Like,
they got us real. Bad.
That's why it's just best to really, seek the Most High, and He's gonna lead you, like, in every truth.
Yeah.
Truth is gonna be obsolete. People are gonna be following lies, following falsehood, really, following fools.
Yeah.
So you got to do the due diligence and do your own research.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just what it is.
The blind leading the blind, essentially.
Yep. Because just look, what's happening right now is it's a hole being dug. I'm gonna keep saying it. And people, as the hole is being dug and dirt's getting poured up, it's getting piled up, right? People are just looking at the dirt and trying to figure out what's going on, but not realizing that's a hole. There's a hole right there that everybody's about to fall in. So you gotta choose wisely. Choose wisely. What's really going on?
It's crazy, y'all. It's like, it's so much. But I think there are also really exciting times because, again, Botswana is agreeing with Captain Ibrahim Traore. Africa's kicking out the West. Africa's inviting China and the Koreas in like they used to, because at the end of the day, Africa and Asia have always had diplomatic ties. Okay. At the end of the day, Isaiah 11:11 is still going to come to pass, whether Western society and Western people's thinking likes it or not. Isaiah 11 says that he's going to bring his children back from the Isles of the Sea. Guess who has Isles of the Sea? Many Asian countries have Isles of the Sea, where these Afro descendant people, these chosen jewels of the Most High, have been scattered all across the world in different slaveries. This is, and it goes back to what you were saying, like, start to research. Start to research, hey, was there a slave trade that happened near Korea? Oh, was there a slave trade that went out to Iran? Oh, the East African slave trade, where they took them to Iran. And oh, so it's like, once you have, because you got to understand, the Most High Yah is not just the God of America. His eye isn't just on America. He obviously created the entire earth and all that fills in. So when he looks down, he's not just looking at one little spot on the map with just 4% of the earth's population. He also has to hang in the balance according to his righteousness and right ruling and right judgment, and just waits, because he hates imbalance. By the way, which is in Torah, he despises imbalance. He is going to judge correctly and see, oh, I have my people over here. I have some in Africa. Oh, I have some in the Middle East. Oh, they're all going to be protected. And I'm going to unify some of them, so that the nations see, whoa, because you have to think, how are the nations, especially the nations mentioned in the book of Obadiah, certain European nations, okay, how are these nations going to say, this was bigger than the Exodus that happened with Egypt? Except that it's like, how did all these people get together that quick? How did people across everywhere get together and unify on one accord seemingly overnight? If it's not the will of the Most High, only the Most High Yah can do that.
Really, His spirit, His ruach, like really, that's what people gotta realize too. You gotta allow Him to lead and guide you. He's not just gonna tell you just to sit on your hands and cross your feet. He's gonna tell you get up and go.
Yeah, Traore is a lion. Yeah, exactly. And that spirit, it's such a strong spirit that's needed in these times, because similar to the independence that happened in the 60s, it only took Kwame Nkrumah to wake up and say, enough is enough. Wildfire across Africa. Same thing happening now in Burkina Faso. It only took Captain Ibrahim Traore to wake up, not only wake up, but also not be killed in the process. That gives African youth the confidence they need to say, oh, we're going to be good. Obviously, the Most High is with this man. Nobody can tell me he's not. Because who else can survive 20 plus assassination attempts at 36 years old? Except the Most High's hand is on you. Period. So the West can like it, love it, hate it. It doesn't matter. Because the West isn't God. Yah is God. Yah is the one over all the earth that wants to speak up for his people and plead the case of his people, as it says in Isaiah 49. He wants his salvation to go to the ends of the earth, and he is going to use whomever he so desires to use. And he's going to do it to full completion. The way that the Most High does things, y'all remember in Exodus where the children of Israel had to go through, or not even go through, but were protected from the plagues in Goshen, and then they come out to the ocean and the river splits open, the Red Sea splits open for them, and they walk across? That's literally that moment. This is that moment for Africa that's like, wow, how has Africa been protected like this? How are these people that were sold all over the world, in Iran and India and Korea, how are these people all protected and still alive? Except the Most High's hand was on them. How did that many people survive colonization, slavery, indentured servitude, all by the British crown, by the way, and her daughter and her allies, France and Germany? How's that possible? And yet, these are the nations that are depopulating more and more as we speak. These are the nations that can't repopulate. Now, wouldn't you think it would be the other way around from all the trauma that you put on these people when you colonize and put them in slavery, that they wouldn't be able to repopulate? But oh, it's reversed. You got to think on these things. This is Yah. This is his hand. And also showing people who, for lack of a better term, are coons. Like that Commander Langley over there in America. Black faces, but they're coons who believe, oh, you know, all these weird, perverse things they say about Africa and Africans. And the Most High, when he says, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, it also includes those who look like you, but do not function as part of the collective and instead function as an adversary.
That's what it's really coming down to. Are you a fool? Are you gonna be fooled?
Yeah.
Be on the right side. Like really. Be on the righteous side. Be on the Most High Yah's side. Because things are moving fast. Time is speeding up. And if you don't understand, ask for understanding. Because wisdom in these days right now is very, very important. Discernment, like really seeing what's going on. Common sense. Really common sense. Because most of this stuff just doesn't make sense that's going on right now. But people still is gonna fall. Just please don't fall. Really, really seek the Most High's word. Really seek him and trust in him, because these last days is speeding up, and it's gonna be too fast for some people. Because this just happened. I'm pretty sure tomorrow something else is gonna happen the next day, because the Shabbat is coming up, and I feel like every time the Shabbat comes, something happened, something worse than last week. I'm pretty sure if you go from the beginning of the year, that they say in January, right? It's so much stuff that we forgot that happened. But if you really start to sit down and think about it, it's hundreds of stuff that happened.
Yeah.
So you really look, time is speeding up. Time is speeding up, but you just gotta be right there with the times.
Yeah.
Signs of the times is here.
Again, for those who are just joining, India struck Iran. I mean, I keep saying Iran. Why do I keep saying that? Pakistan. India struck Pakistan. Oh my gosh.
Earlier.
Oh gosh. India struck Pakistan, their neighbor. These are two countries that hold nuclear powers. Okay. Times are heating up on top of Israel versus Gaza versus Iran, on top of the Russia-Ukraine war that is still happening, on top of Trump's trade war with China that's happening, okay?
Top of China.
India struck Pakistan, okay? And so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different moving pieces, but we believe. What movie was it that also said that after the fact? We didn't know that movie said that. But we believe the best possible place to be on earth is in Africa. And we are in Southern Africa. The best possible place to be. Okay? Hands down. We say that with our chest very confidently because it's reality. You know, we don't have time to beat around the bush and, oh, if you would like to take a trip to Europe, there are times you will take. We've even spoken to people that have taken a trip to Europe, the plane, they're not even operating. Taking a trip to the Middle East, bombs go off. It's not time to beat around the bush. The only place to be is Africa. Period. And you need to choose the right country if you're going to come here. It's just not time to beat around the bush and like, oh, well, maybe it could be Jordan for a second. Then, you know, maybe we'll hit it. These areas are so prone to war. I wouldn't be nowhere near the Middle East. I sure wouldn't. The closest I'm getting to the Middle East is LinkedIn, networking with some people in Dubai, and that's it. That's the closest I will get. That is the absolute closest. And I wouldn't necessarily be in Europe either. I definitely wouldn't be there. Asia looks nice when things are going well, but India and Pakistan, That's Asia. China and Taiwan, that's Asia. And these things are heating up literally right now as we speak. And so the main place that I would tell you to be from the bottom of my heart is in Africa, period. Because that's where I am. That's where we've been for 5 years. And that's where we're going to continue to be. But what movie was that had like, you know what I'm talking about? At the end, it was the end scene. I don't know what movie it was. It was like,
2012.
yeah, it had all the people. And on the map, they all went to South Africa, and that's where they
The highest
survived.
place. I would say Lesotho or something.
Well, Lushoto is Tanzania, but yeah.
I mean, not Lesotho.
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 Yeah. Yeah, at the end of that movie. So only the people who watched to the end even understood that.
But yeah, they be giving you some truth in the movies and stuff, in the media and stuff, but you just gotta have the discernment to see. So it's not like we believe everything that they say, but hey, you gotta know what's really going on, like for real, because everything chess is being played. Look, I always say it, like you gotta step back and understand chess, because chess is being played, and it's really getting down to the last moves. I guess that's the best way I can explain it in the physical. But if you are spiritual, you should already know what's happening. Like really.
Yeah. And if you're not spiritual, get spiritual. It's never too late. It's really not. Repent, be saved, and he's going to start to give you wisdom. But wisdom will not enter a vessel that is stuck in iniquity. Wisdom will not enter a vessel that's stuck in pride like a python. Wisdom will only enter the humble. And so it's like it's a good time to just pray for the mercy of the Most High every day. And as you pray for that mercy continually, he's going to show you things, and you are going to understand stuff beyond your years, beyond your teachers. This is what Psalms 119 says. King David said, "How did I become wise beyond my teachers?" King David was the youngest in his family when he was chosen. King David was a child when he was chosen, tending to those sheep. How did he become wise beyond his years? He said, it's because I meditate in your law day and night. I'm like someone being planted by rivers of living water. I'm like a tree being planted by rivers of living water. Can you imagine a tree that grows by a river? I can tell you about it because we've been in the mountains, and you got trees up there that are planted by rivers. Let me tell you, those trees are so abundant, it doesn't make sense. It's like a rainforest being planted by rivers of living water that yields fruit, not just in its season, but in all seasons. You ever seen like a real huge tree that just has so much fruit, so many huge, healthy green leaves? That's what King David said it was like to read the scriptures day and night. And that gives you the confidence that you need to speak to his people, to speak to whoever needs to be spoken to, or to, travel the world, whatever it is, whatever mission he's sending you on. It's time to get on that mission, because there's never been a better time than right now, the end times. Because it's like, if you're lukewarm, you're going to be dropped off. That's just Revelations 1-7 right there. If you're lukewarm, he says, I will spit you out of my mouth. It's better for you to just be on fire or be cold. Just choose a side. Choose one. Because lukewarm, from the Most High's perspective, that's annoying. That's annoying. You teeter and totter between two different things. You hear, you there. You hear, you there. You hear. Confused. The Most High's like, you could have just been cold and then repented at the last moment. I would have saved you. But it's not right to just get a little truth and then teeter back, and then get a little truth and teeter back. That's evil. He says, I'll spit you out of my mouth. And this is what we're going to see in the last days. We're going to continue to see it. The grounds are going to open up, and humans will fall in them. These things happen all over the world. Sinkholes. Why? Because teeter and tottering between two different opinions. If Yah is right, choose Yah. Choose ye this day. That's it. It's so simple. You got to make it simple. But yes, family, I think that's it for this video. Anything else? Y'all got to look up everything that's happening. Read Isaiah 49 for sure. And yeah, y'all be blessed. Be blessed. Read Isaiah 49 and have a good day. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom, family.